All right, you grasshoppers. We are a little bit late here today. You got to blame it on Tom Laidlaw here. So we got this fantastic gentleman here with us. He's originally from Toronto. He's living in New York City now. Ian Peters, Hockey XP. They are one of the sponsors of our new podcast, Full Change. Ian, how are you doing today? Great to see you.
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing, Tom?
Good. We were just talking about the old neighborhood. I'm from Brampton, which is very close to where Ian grew up. We were talking about Highway 10. And it's funny thinking back to the old stories where I grew up on the farm. There's no street name. So Highway 10 was the divider. And so the first line was first line west, and there was first line east and so on. So that's old stories. But so let's get talking about Hockey XP. You are the founder of Hockey XP. What does Hockey XP do?
We are a one-day hockey fantasy camp-like event, or experience, if you will. We give access to recreational players, give them access to behind the scenes of NHL, pro nuances, skate on pro ice, some networking involved, and a good time, a memorable night. Everything happens in one night. You don't need to plan for a weekend. You're not going away to Vegas for 10 days. You got to find time for that all in one night.
That's cool. So how'd you come up with that idea?
Great question. The idea for Hockey XP came from me working, my background is video production and event production. I worked for the Blue Jays for 6 seasons. I was an on-field videographer there.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember going to pro games or going to the ballpark 4 hours before the game and having to shoot some corporation that came in, State Farm, IBM, whoever it was at the time, come in and they'd be playing ball on the diamond,
right,
dressed in Blue Jay uniforms. Out comes our coach at the time talking about leadership or teamwork and team building, and just watching these full-grown adults looking like little boys and girls staring at their baseball idol.
Right.
And then having to take that to the booth, cut a 1-minute stinger. I would play during the 7th-inning stretch. Hey, fans, today we had IBM in the stadium. Here's a look at what happened today.
That's cool.
My 1-minute stinger. And then we'd cut to them in the luxury box, and these they're just ecstatic. And I just always remember that. And I also remember learning how much they paid for the experience.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's cool.
Fast forward. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. No, keep going, bud.
No, fast forward. I'm here in New York 6 years ago. I get invited to a skate, Barclays Center. Islanders were playing in Barclays at the time. And it was a simple skate. You bring a light jersey, I bring a dark jersey. We'll watch the game, skate on the ice after. Wow. So the game was done. We skated on the ice after. And I remember coming off the ice and just feeling this vibe of everybody was just in awe of what just took place. Everybody skating around, doing laps still, laying at center ice, taking starfish photos. And it reminded me of my days at Blue Jays in terms of just the vibe, the electricity, people being enamored of what's going on, and the surrealness of everything, and guys flipping out over how the puck has no shadows because the light is crazy, and sitting on a pro bench and sniffing used salt from the game before. And so I figured, hey, if we could dress this up similar to what I saw at Blue Jays, we might have a product here. So when I left that night, it was just my mission to just start figuring out how do I get back to that Blue Jay feeling that I could package. And being in production, I had all these sponsors at my disposal, products, beauty, lifestyle brands. BioSteel stepped up, and they saw the vision. They sponsored me. Breweries in the cities we played have sponsored us. Hotels, Amtrak, travel. There hasn't been a single company I've approached that said no. They've either said yes, we're on board, or we'll be back, or tell us more and let's work this out and figure out how to get integrated with you. And this thing was just snowballed to the point where I have guys flying in where my event is their annual business trip.
Oh, really? So will you go to a city like that, say you're going to Philadelphia soon, from what I understand. So you'll go to the people in Philadelphia, say, listen, I want to put an event on in your building?
Correct. I'll work with the team, and it's now at a point where NHL teams are contacting me to figure out how can we better work together, because we have community initiatives that we want to apply this to. And so I'm speaking to a few teams now about that, and that's fun.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. I remember I have another company. It's called Post Game Strategies. And the idea is it's to use the network of former athletes to put deals together, find money for deals or deals for money. And business people were always telling me, Tom, when you call somebody up, cold call, you got to tell them you play for the New York Rangers. And I go, oh God, I don't want to do that. It sounds all kind of cocky and everything. So one guy finally convinced me, and I got on Google. I Googled Wall Street and hockey, got a list of about 20 guys that had some connection to Wall Street, college hockey players, whatever. Yeah. Picked this one guy. He's managing a multi-billion-dollar fund. And I called him up. I got a secretary, and I said, this is Tom Laidlaw. I used to play for the New York Rangers. I'd like to talk to Mr. So-and-so. She literally dropped the phone, and I could hear the pitter-patter little feet as she ran down the hallway. And the guy came back on the phone and he didn't believe it was me. And I'm thinking, I'm Tom Laidlaw. I'm not Wayne Gretzky, for God's sakes. And he's going, it's not you. Who is this? This isn't Tom Laidlaw. He wouldn't call me. And this guy's managing a multi-billion-dollar fund, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, I guess this really works. He invited me down to his office the next day for lunch. His office was like a hockey hall of fame. So the secretary knew that. And then I learned a good lesson that it's really not being arrogant. It's these people like to be around, say, successful athletes and everything. So that's cool that you recognize that. That was pretty cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah, there's definitely a cachet to that. But back up a second. Kudos to you for having the entrepreneurial spirit to go and do what you did.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Thank you. You know what? That's a great question. I do all this motivational speaking now and everything. And I've been very fortunate in my life. Like I've always had that attitude. I'll just go try it. And I would do things. People joke around. Well, you're doing the same thing, right? But people joke around. When I was playing with the Rangers, they had a program where they pay for you to go to school. And growing up in the farm in Canada, I always saw that big trucks would come in to pick up our milk from our dairy from our farm. So I always wanted to learn how to drive the big trucks. So I went to the Rangers one day. I said, I'm going to school. And they think I'm going like to Harvard Business School or something. They said, what are you doing? I'm going to truck driving school. So I just always have had that mentality, just do it, and it's always, sometimes you make a mistake. I'm sure sometimes it doesn't always work out for you in your career. So that is fantastic. How old are you?
Oh, do I have to tell that on there? Come on.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. I'm 64.
I grew up watching you, watching Fuhr, grew up watching McKechnie, grew up watching Gilmore.
Yeah.
Grew up watching Clark, Wendell Clark.
Okay, I get you. I see the age range.
Let's leave it at that.
Okay. That's fair enough. No, that's fantastic. I really admire that you've taken so it's not that you didn't take somebody else's idea and make it your own. You created a whole new concept. I love that. And so one of those things sometimes I think to myself, God, why wouldn't I think of something like that? That's pretty cool. Good job.
Thank you for that. I think for me, I put myself in the shoes of those walking into this experience.
Right.
And I mean, end of the day, I'm a fan myself of hockey and of the Tom Laidlaws. I'm on here talking to you right now. Like, I grew up watching you. Like, let's be real here. So I put myself in the shoes of that. And like, what would I want to see? What would I pay this much money for?
Sure.
What are the touch points? What do they like? How does it speak to me? What's the experience? Is it smooth? Who might I meet? What do I want out of this? Why am I hopping on a plane and coming to New York to do this?
Sure.
So I'm sensitive to all of that, and just try to cater to that. The rest is magic. The rest is having a good time.
How many have you done so far? How many events?
5.
5 events. Now, have they evolved at all? The things that you now change along the way, learn new things?
Yeah, I've done 5 events. They have evolved. With every iteration of each one, I try to make it better.
Oh, okay.
Similar. Think of Canada's Wonderland. Mm-hmm. Every year there's a new ride. Every year you come to Hockey XP, there's something new. Whether it be a massage therapist, a locker room attendant, working on getting a shovel person to shovel the ice just like they see on TV. Cool. Custom jerseys.
Hockey XP, there you go. Nice.
I just try to make it better every year and justify what they're paying for and make sure when they leave there, they have nothing but great things to say.
Right.
Like, wow, I can't believe I got to see that locker room, or on the way out, such and such, my favorite player walked by me coming off the ice. Like, I love hearing these things, 1.
Right.
2, I love hearing, there's a networking component to this. I love hearing how guys have met at my event and they return next year with the buddy they met at my event the year before.
Okay.
And they've either started a business together, started a team together, they're best friends, they're drinking buddies now, and they met at my event. Like, that's a great feeling.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Now, is this probably a dumb question? Is this patentable too? Like, I mean, can you patent that so people can't copy it? I guess you just got to be the best out there, right?
I'm working on that. There's a lawyer in the mix. We're talking.
Yeah. That's probably, I shouldn't ask that question. That's probably a bad question for you.
No, not at all. It's just born out of my network. I can do what I did and do it who I did it with.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. The more I think about it, like the experience of those people going there, and obviously they're largely successful people, well connected, and they're going to now go. They're going to even come back and go, wow, that's a great experience. And I asked the question, like, does it get better? It's probably not necessarily better, right? You're just changing it. You're putting new things into it and just making it unique in that certain situation, right?
It's getting better in terms of new talking points. Guys coming back saying, wow, this wasn't here last year. Oh, wow, the swag bag's bigger. We have a great swag bag. Our swag bag has grown year after year.
Yeah.
We have companies like Teddy Stratford, which makes fine men's dress shirts,
right,
giving us free shirts to the winners, These are $150 shirts. I got the Perfect Jean Company gave a free pair of jeans to the winning team.
Right.
BioSteel gave us a pallet of drink. Red Feather, this awesome pain spray for the older guys with joint pain.
There you go.
This has saved some lives.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting with the swag bag, right? You have really successful, like athletes are like that. They make millions of dollars a year, but they get a swag bag. They're diving on the floor for that swag bag. They want one. That's cool. Very cool stuff. Good. So you got one in Philadelphia coming up?
2 coming up. One in Philadelphia, March 28th. That's next week, Tuesday.
Right.
Doors open 2:30. We hit the ice 3:30 for an hour. We leave the building, come back for a social mixer, and then we have the Habs playing the Flyers.
Right.
A week and a half later, here at UBS Arena, Long Island, we have the Flyers and the Flyers. We have Tampa against the Islanders.
Right.
7:30 start. We skate after the game for that one. And the social mixer is the beginning of the beginning of the NHL game. And I got different jerseys for every event. I name every event based on some sort of storyline.
Oh, cool.
We had the return of Tavares when Tavares came back to play the Leafs as a Leaf against the Islanders. That was the return of Tavares. We have the Lightning Strikes Long Island. That's when Tampa comes.
Nice.
This is our second one, so we're calling it Lightning Strikes twice.
Okay.
Phillies is called the Canadian Invasion. Canadian spelled like the Canadians.
Right. Now, how do people sign up for these events?
People could sign up at hockeyxp.com. All the information's there. We're on social media, hockeyxp at Instagram or on Instagram. On Twitter, we're tweet hockeyxp.
Good. And so people it's designed really so people don't have to travel, but if they want to travel to the city, they can, right? They may say, listen, I want to go to Long Island.
If they want to travel, they can. I've made deals with Amtrak. We have a discount code from them. Even Hotels, which are IHG. It's an IHG hotel brand. They've given us discount codes. So if you want to travel and accommodations, we've got you covered.
That's cool. And how many people can you handle at an event?
Skate-wise, usually 28 to 32 players, and then they could bring guests, up to 40 people tops in terms of guests. Wives come, spouses come. Wives, partners.
You're getting me excited. I might want to come to one of these events. That sounds like a lot of fun. I love your idea. We should talk about that. I love your idea of the networking part too. I'm big on the networking. I do a lot of events with the Rangers, and I've really learned. Like I bring my business cards all the time and meet some. Maybe it's just on a personal level, like you said before, or it could be a great business level too. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we got to talk about me coming.
Come talk. I heard you say motivational speaker. I'm huge on motivational speaking and personal development. I take it in like a sponge.
Oh yeah,
you can come talk.
Okay, I'd love to. I'd love to come to one of your events. That's fantastic. Yes, let's talk about that. Yeah. I've really gotten a lot more into the whole mental health thing too. It's kind of evolved, and it really wasn't a plan of mine, but we did a lot of podcast show like this, and we got into mental health. It's a really interesting field, especially right now, right, with all the problems that people have with the pandemic and everything. So very cool. Well, great job by you. I'm serious. That really, I'm very impressed that you, first of all, to come up with the idea. Seems like you've got that energy too. I know Tom Smith, my producer, he said, man, this guy's got some energy. He's going to be good on the podcast. So yeah. He's a good man. You're a very creative guy. I give him a hard time. I said, "Is that really your name? Like, you really not named Tom Smith?"
You know, Tom Smith.
Yeah, who made? There's like 1,000 Tom Smiths. I think I know 3 Tom Smiths. That's funny stuff. He's a good man. They're very creative. Yeah, he's come up with some great ideas and everything too. So, well, listen, we should do this again for sure, right? And again, one more time, tell everybody where they can get a hold of you.
HockeyXP.com or info@hockeyxp.com. 3 main aspects to take away here is 1, the live NHL game, 2, the social mixer, 3, the on ice experience, which is skating on pro ice. You can bring spectators, bring family, bring friends. It's a good time. For UBS, we're speaking to the blue and orange army, the army that stays there and bangs the drums. I've got them staying behind, make some noise. Cool. It's going to be a good time.
That's good. Great idea. Seriously, I'm very impressed both by your energy. You get not just getting the idea, but then following through in the idea too. So that's a good job by you. So we will have you on again. And again, if anybody wants to know where the events are, that you can go online there, the website, hockeyxp.com, and go to the events. Again, we're going to talk off camera here a little bit about me coming to one of the events. Looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, brother, I'm going to finish off. I'm going to do about another 15 or 20 minutes. I've got your contact information, so I'll give you, I'll email you. We'll get back at this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great to meet you, brother.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That's a pretty cool idea. Again, Tom Smith, who's the producer for the Full Change podcast, is friends with, they're like Hockey XP is the sponsor of our podcast, and told me about Ian. He said he nailed it down pretty good. He's got a lot of energy there too. That's a great, fantastic concept. So we're going to talk about me coming to one of the events. And Ira, I had a guess. I couldn't put any of your comments up there, right? Just totally inappropriate. Tom has a business card. Survivor business card. Yes, Survivor business card. It's funny. I did an event up in Danbury, Connecticut last night, and nobody wanted to talk about my hockey career. They wanted to talk about Survivor. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but hold on. Sorry, Deb. I didn't get a chance to ask that question. When did you start Hockey XP? I don't think it was very long ago. I'll find out that information. We'll get him back on too and help him promote his company. I like that idea a lot. So I'm out in Oyster Bay tonight. Oyster Bay Ice Arena. They're having a little clinic. So I'm out there at 7:45. It's going to be past my bedtime. 9:45 before we get done. Be one of those days tomorrow we're not getting a whole lot of sleep. I tell the story all the time too. I know I've told the stories before, but way back in the playoffs last year when they flew a bunch of people into Raleigh, fans and I went with them, and we didn't get back home until like 2:00 in the morning. I was getting up at 3:30. There's like, no way, you're not getting up. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Oh, you know what I need to do too? I've seen some reels like on Instagram in particular. They do some really creative editing with those things. So if somebody knows how to do that better, I'm getting better at it, but there's some fantastic, some of the stuff they do, like this jerking the camera around and everything. It's like pretty cool. Ira lives town from 10 minutes. No, did I say Oyster Bay? No. It was Clam Bay. It wasn't oysters, clam. You must have the wrong town. I'm not there tonight. No, I'm not. Ira, if you stop by, I'd love to see you. Is it cold? Do you know that rink? Is it cold there? Or do I need to dress appropriately? What? Oh yeah, hold on. Danny Erickson. That was poetry in motion, that dance of yours. Oh my God. I thought it was John Travolta when I first saw the video. And I was like, no, it's Danny Erickson. Not John Travolta. He thinks you can bribe me with tequila. Not a chance. No. You can't drink and drive. No drinking and driving. Here's our buddy. He's back again. Ron Jameson. Long time no hear. Thomas, been busy? Yeah. Are you talking about me being busy or you being busy? Now, I have been busy. We've been doing a lot of those full change podcasts. I hope people are enjoying those. To me, I'm really loving doing them. Again, the format with that is we get right now it's former NHL players. We talk about growing up as a kid and then playing in the National Hockey League and then changing to a life after the game and some really interesting stories. There's some guys like Darren Langdon that's just been like, nope, just left, went back home and get on with life. And other guys have gone through some really interesting stuff, some kind of dramatic stuff. And we've done about 40 shows. And again, the guys talk about openly, so I don't think it's a problem talking about about four of those guys have attempted suicide, and obviously they did not success. They were not successful, and have gone on and really cleaned up their lives and are doing a lot of great things to help people, particularly kids. So it's really good to see. Really, I was really surprised, with some of the shows, like they're kind of emotional. Like Clint Malarchuk was very open and very he speaks a lot, so he was very well spoken. I asked him. I said, obviously people know that he got that accident when he's playing where got his neck cut. It was a gruesome scene. And I asked him on the show, I said, what were you thinking about? And it was kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but he goes death. And he talked about how, he thought he was going to die and that he knew his mother was watching at home and he didn't want his mother watching him die at home. And it was when he was talking like that, it was kind of emotional, not kind of emotional. It was emotional. So it's a good show. Let me see here. How do we get Larry Melnick back on? We'll get him back on. I am bad. He started to contact me a couple times and I didn't intentionally. He only wants to contact now on WhatsApp. So I'm not always on that. So I'll read his message and then I'll go off and do something else and I forget. I'm not doing it intentionally, but he kind of thinks that I am. So it's not an intentional thing, but the Rangers are certainly doing well. I think like we've talked here before, well, not just me, but people talk. I think sometimes people get worried when they're not playing well defensively, but again, that's not how they're designed. They're designed to win those 7-0 games. You have Shesterkin playing fantastic and score goals, and that's the way. That's why Gallant was hired as a coach. That's what Chris Drury wanted from the team. And when they're rolling now, and they're the kind of team. A lot of people are talking about that they must be the best. They may be the best team in the National Hockey League right now. Now, there's some other good teams out there, and again, it's when you're playing at your best too. So hopefully they'll keep it going and have them ready for the playoffs. So, I think that Mel liked us. I think Mel likes himself more than anyway. All right. So our dance challenge has just not gone as expected. Thank God Danny Erickson stepped up there and danced. Maybe we picked the wrong thing. Maybe dancing was too intrusive. Maybe people didn't feel comfortable dancing, but we'll do something again. Well, we're still going. I mean, you still get donations, still draw attention to what's called the Garden of Dreams. Oh, Kotze was in New York City. Oh, Jesus. Ira. Kotze was in New York City Tuesday, and there's a food shortage. He must have been eating a lot of eggs because there's an egg shortage there too. So why was there an egg shortage too? What was going on there? I went to Costco and they didn't have any eggs. I was not happy. Costco. My friend Norris, the chicken man, he makes all the chickens in there. I don't know if people eat those chickens. I read some reports that those chickens aren't very good for you. They pump them full of a bunch of bad stuff to make them all juicier. They sure taste good, but apparently they're not very healthy for you. I just get my own. You can go to Costco, get a double pack of chickens, a little like same size as rotisserie chickens. Throw them in the air fryer. I don't season or anything because you take the skin off, throw them in there for about an hour. You get yourself some rotisserie chicken. Chicken disease killed about. Is this true? Is this true? I don't know what to believe, Myra. Chicken disease killed about 1 million chickens. Really? Is that right? Deb's got a good question here. I haven't talked much. I hated getting traded. I love New York, did not want to leave. But once it was over, I wasn't there anymore. Once I got to LA, we had a bunch of good guys when I got there, and a pretty good hockey team too, like a young Luc Robitaille, Jimmy Carson, Dave Taylor's a great player, Jay Wells, Mark Hardy, guys that became Rangers after. So I really got there and really enjoyed that team, really enjoyed playing with them, played with former Islanders like Bob Bourne and John Tonelli. And then obviously Wayne getting traded there. So we went from a team where, the bad thing was we had the purple and gold jerseys, and now they're kind of like a vintage thing that they're kind of cool. But when we played, again, after wearing the Ranger jersey, we would have the purple and gold. We'd go into a place like Montreal. So Larry Robinson and Guy Lafleur were skating around there in the red, white, and blue, and all the banners up there, and we got purple and gold jerseys on. It just wasn't cool. And then so Wayne got there, and everything changes. We go back to we get black and silver, and they were cool jerseys. And, it was just I saw. With Wayne, it was, I've talked about this many times. Listen, there's no question what a great player he was, but it's just how he carried himself. Like he was so well aware of his impact on the game, on other people, on his teammates. So he was just such a professional, like above and beyond. Like he carried the league on his shoulders. So that was fun. One of the fun stories, I've told this, so people are going to say, Tom Smith is here, he'd be laughing at me. But one of the fun stories was when I was rooming with Bob Bourne, this is before Wayne got traded. And we were always pulling practical jokes, like going into guys' rooms and putting their clothes in the shower and all this kind of stuff, or, getting in the closet and hiding there and then jumping out and scaring the guys. Silly little stuff. And so we'd gone out one night and had a few adult beverages, come back 2 or 3 in the morning, and all the guys had taken so our rooms were all like around the big lobby, and the guys had taken all the stuff out of our room and put it out in the lobby, and it was perfect. Like they hung their clothes up in the racks and everything. Had the lamps on top of the table. So it was pretty funny. Come back in 3 a.m, and but of course, we wanted to go to sleep in the lobby, and security came around and wouldn't let us, so they helped us put the stuff back in. But it was good. The guys really would. It was a good joke. Like they took some time. We had some great guys like Larry Playfair. Was one scariest guys on the ice to play against, but a sweetheart of a guy, and he was a good practical joker. I actually think he was there. He probably had a lot to do with it. So it was good, really good. I ended up really enjoyed my time there. Again, part of it was the Wayne thing, but even before Wayne got there, once it settled in, they said, okay, listen, I'm not a Ranger anymore. We had a great bunch of guys: Jimmy Fox, Phil Sykes, Robbie Frattori coached me for I think a couple of years there, and I just total respect for Robbie. So it was fun. They got treated great even before Bruce McNall came in and bought the team. Rogie Vasson as the general manager. It was a really great place. And, I remember the first Christmas Eve that we had rented a home with a hot tub and a pool in the backyard. And Christmas Eve, and I'm sitting outside and having a cocktail on Christmas Eve, and I'm thinking, this may not be too bad after all. It's not New York, but we're still enjoying ourselves. So let me see here. All right. How much say does Wayne have with respect to trades and acquisitions in LA? I'm sure that they came and talked to him about that, But he really went out of his way to make it seem like he did not want that reputation. He did not want to be known. So he had the big. This story's been told many times. The big confrontation with Robbie Ftorek, where Wayne was undisciplined on the ice, and Robbie had a rule. And Robbie, he was consistent with everybody. It didn't matter if Wayne Gretzky or Tom Laidlaw, who it was. If there's a rule, it's a rule. And so it was in between the second and third period. We were beating Detroit. In Detroit, I think we were beating like 8-1 or something like that. And well, it was like 8-0 late in the period. Wayne turned over the puck. Somebody went down and scored for Detroit and ruined Mark Fitzpatrick's shutout. And Mark Fitzpatrick, I think it might have been his first game or one of his first games. He's supposed to be this up and coming young goaltender. So Wayne was mad at himself, went down, broke the stick over the back of the net. So we come in, and again, we've got this veteran team, Larry Robinson, myself, John Tonelli, Tim Waters, all Dave Taylor, all these older guys. So we've seen a lot. And the rumor starts going around the locker room that Robbie's going to bench Wayne. And we're all going, no, you can't bench Wayne. You just don't do that. And so we go out the third period, and Robbie benched him. And so he finally, Mike Krushelnyski finally leaned back to Robbie and goes, Robbie, you've got to put him on the ice, which the damage is already done at that point. So after the game, Wayne called Robbie into another room, and they thought that it was quiet in the room. It was not. And Wayne says to Robbie, so we we weren't supposed to hear it. He says, 20,000 people came to watch me play tonight. They didn't come to watch you coach. And it's just like, it's a classic line. So I didn't know this until recently. Bruce McNall had flown in on the road trip and was going to fire Robbie. And Wayne went to Bruce McNall and said, no, you cannot fire him because it's going to make it look like I got him fired. And he didn't want that. Like he really, there's just no way he could be like a regular guy. He just wasn't going to be, but he went out of his way to make sure he was as much of a teammate as he was allowed to be. That's really the way to put it, because he really enjoyed being one of the guys to sit around having beers, telling old stories. He was great that way, and I had a ton of respect for him. I guess there's a lot of star athletes that he could have done whatever he wanted to do. He could have been a total jerk, and he'd still be Wayne Gretzky, and we'd have to go and play hard with him. But he wasn't like that at all. He really, I think, not just for him, but I think for himself and for everybody else, he wanted that team, like he wanted to win, and part of that winning is having that team bonding stuff. So he was excellent that way. Barry Shelley, how are you doing there, brother? Sorry. Yeah. I was a little inconsistent too. So I got to be more consistent with the show. I enjoy the show. I think we get to interact a lot more. We had that guest on today, Ian from Hockey XP, and we're going to do a lot more of that. We'll have some of the guys on that we've done the Full Change podcast with. We'll have them on. We're going to have, former Flyer Brian Prop on, I think, next week. He's got an event going on down in Philadelphia. Good guy. He suffered from a stroke, so but you know what, like so his speech isn't perfect right now, but you know what, he's, to his credit, he just battles through it. And it's interesting too, looking at his stats. Bernie Nichols is in the same category. The question whether they should be in the All-Star, the Hockey Hall of Fame. And if you look at their stats, so Daniel Alfredson just recently got put in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and former Ottawa Senator. And his stats, like Nichols and Prop are better, and you look at some of the stuff they've done, like Prop playing for Team Canada and everything. So there's a little bit of lobbying that needs to go on for those Hockey Hall of Fame nominations. So, oh yeah, wanted to wear the Flying V. That was the ugliest jersey. Oh man, you like to think, like, who thinks of those things? Like, who comes up with that? I guess it's some creative person in their mind. They go, that's cool. Okay, let me see here. Barry Shelley heading to Vegas. Oh, you little Vegas man. Heading out to Vegas for a few weeks. In a few weeks, Knights game. Yeah. Do you know George McPhee? I could give him a call, although he doesn't take my calls anymore. He does. George is a good guy. Whenever you see George, he's good. He's a good teammate. Man, he battled hard. So I didn't fight him. I know I told this too. Like when we were in college, we hated each other, spearing each other, and everything. Like, who's this little guy? And when I saw him fight Bob Nystrom his first game up in the NHL, I was like, oh, okay. I see. First game in over 30 years, Barry. Wow, okay. Very cool. That's right. You're up in Cooperstown, New York there. It's not like a hop, skip, and a jump to get to a game, right? Ira. Get the no sugar ones. Get the M&Ms with no sugar in them. Okay. Dog updates. Okay, so my So we'll start with my grandson, Maverick, the golden retriever. She got is a male dog get spayed or neutered? I can't remember which one it was. Anyway, he got taken care of. He was helping my son all the time, and typically, I guess it takes a while to set, but they usually settle down the dog once that's done. It hasn't happened with Maverick. He loves his grandpa. Neutered. Thank you, Deb. Your male dog is neutered. So he loves his grandpa. When I come over, he comes running after me and pees all over my feet. It's very cute. He gets so excited. He's crying a little bit. And now he's added to it. He's getting bigger. So he came, peed by my foot, and then ran around a circle. And he came running back at me and like actually turned his body sideways. It just flung himself right at me. He's out of control. It was funny. He's a good dog. He's a handful. I think I've told everybody that my son and his wife were trying to decide whether they want to have a child or not. So they decided, well, let's get a dog first. And I goes, he was pooping on the carpet one day. And I called him. I said, what are you thinking of having a kid now? Nope, not a chance. A cute dog. Oh, they could change their mind. They're 31 or something. Yeah, he was hugging me, Deb. You're right. No, he was very cute. He was, he gets so excited. I've always been around dogs and everything, growing up on the farm. So I guess, I don't know, a dog whisperer or something like that, but he just goes nuts when he sees me. He's getting big now. So he jumps up, puts his paws on my shoulders. And yes, he's the boss. Okay, other dogs now. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to be the bigger person. So this dog thing on the beach goes until March 31st. So I'm thinking, okay. So I get there early. I walk on the beach, watch the sunrise and all that kind of stuff. And then, so usually there's no other dogs. If there, I think people got the hint now. If there are other dogs coming, they see me, they put the dog on a leash. So then once I've walked the beach, I go down to this point and I watch the corner, I watch the sun come up some more, and then I walk back. So I don't walk on the beach on the way back. I think, you know what? Be the bigger man. You've had the beach to yourself, and dogs now. So today I take these pictures I take in the morning. There's this one area that's really nice. It's like through a fence. You can see the sun coming up through the fence. So I always take that picture. So I go to walk in there and the dogs are loose. They're supposed to be on a leash up there. I was very proud of myself. I hope you guys were. I did not make a scene. I just went on to there's another one down the way, went down to the next one and did my same thing. So I was very proud of myself. But there's other part of it is like, nope, I'm walking in there and I'm going to show them who's boss. Yeah. Yes. And it's getting warmer. So Pepper's outside more barking, which is always enjoyable. But you know what, though? It's easy to say. I think just drop it, Tom. It's dogs barking. Just have another cocktail and don't worry about it. Then my ego gets going. I'm like, so, I tell you what, this whole mental health, like as you know, I'm always talking to people with mental health, like, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, get help, talk to people. So now I'm dealing with my issues, the whole abandonment thing. It's hard work, and it's really, it's draining to open up and kind of change the way you do things. But it's been fantastic. Changing Tom Laidlaw at 64 years old. I turn 65 next month. You know what? I'm mad too. The town of Greenwich, Connecticut. Okay, I've got a vent here. So every year you've got to show your residency in the town of Greenwich so you can get your beach pass to go to the beach. At 65, you don't have to pay for it. It's not a big deal. It's like $20. But they then list you as a senior. So because of the way they work it on the computer, I haven't turned 65 yet, but I'll be 65 during the time I have my pass. So they list me as a senior. What is that all about? I'm not a senior. I'm taking that. I'm gonna file a complaint. So I'll put that on the list there. The dogs are on the complaint list. Calling me a senior. It's rude. All right. So I'm in Oyster Bay tonight at the Oyster Bay Ice Arena, I think it's called. Makes sense. It's Oyster Bay. It's Ice Arena. Called the Oyster Bay Ice Arena. Ira, I don't think you can get in, Ira. I think it's a invitation only event. Thank you, Deb. Thank you. So the senior thing, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I should complain about that. Absolutely. Thank you. Report that. Imagine walking in there and saying, I'm complaining. You didn't charge me the $20 and now you're calling me a senior. Okay, let's get this straight. You're complaining because you didn't have to pay $20? Yeah. New neighbors are moving in next door. The place has been empty for a couple of months. I've seen them coming and going. I think they have a child. I hope the child doesn't cry. Kids crying doesn't bother me. Well, thank you, Deb. Seriously, you feel my pain. Thank you. I appreciate it, Deb. Good job. How dare they call me? Yeah, seriously. It's like when I get my AARP card, I throw it right in the garbage. I don't even open it up. It goes right in the garbage. Yeah. Haven't seen as much of Mr. Greshner. I saw him the other day. He was outside in his pajamas. Sexy bastard. He had to get his. I guess every time his kids drive his car or whatever, they get a flat tire. So he was not too happy. All right. So I apologize. We did not have a show last week. I'm going to make an effort to make sure this is a much more consistent show. Gotsy's my new neighbor. That's right, Ira. Yeah. I did too. Let me see here. I did too after having a meltdown. AA part. Yeah, I know. You get those cards and you're like, no, I'm not accepting that. There's no way. I'm not accepting that I'm a senior. I saw a video the other day. The guy was trying to make a good point. He was talking about how people work all their lives and retire at 65. And so they spend all that time up to 65, really not enjoying themselves, not doing a whole lot because they're working too much. And then at 65, your body doesn't work anymore, he said. So I heard his point, but like, don't tell people your body doesn't work at 65. If you don't exercise your body, it will not work. But if you exercise your body, eat properly, it works fine. I'll be 65 next month, April 15th. Oh my goodness. Now, you know what though? We're not taking that attitude. Nope. We get better all the time. Get better every day. I've been posting more workout videos too, because I'm trying to crank up my workouts. I think it's because I'm getting to 65. I was saying, no, I'm not going down without a fight. So, what are your favorite football teams and baseball teams? Okay, football. Well, obviously the Giants. I was a Dallas Cowboy fan. I was a Randy White fan. So that was back in the 70s, I think it was. Randy White, number 54, the Manster he played. But that was when I was living at home. My father was a Green Bay Packer fan, so I was cheering for the Cowboys against him. When I got here to New York, there's just no way I could be a Cowboy fan. Playing for the Rangers, so I guess you could, but I was I switched to the Giants. I was a huge, I was a big time fan. Like I know Eli Manning had some times where he was kind of like wondering what he's doing, but then I'll tell you the big games, like those Super Bowls that he won, got MVP, and he was good. So I really admire him, and I also admire him that he played all the time, played hurt, and even when his wide receivers didn't do what they're supposed to do, or ran the road or anything, you never saw him complaining or making them look bad. He was always under control, played the same way, win or lose. He played bad, he played good. He acted the same way. I always admired that. That was very professional. So the New York Giants, baseball teams. I'm not much of a baseball fan. I used to be a big Pittsburgh Pirate fan when they had Willie Stargell and all those guys. I liked them back then. But I like the Yankees. I like, Derek Jeter, the way he carried himself as a professional. Their desire to always win all the time, spend money to win. Aaron Judge, I think, is fantastic. Really like a Derek Jeter, the way he carries himself, and a great player too. So yeah, good point, Kathy. You're right. We cannot look at this 65 thing and make it a big deal. I think if you make it a big deal, it's just nope. It's what it is. Just another day in the office. Yeah. You see, yeah. Yes, 70s Pirates. Yes. Yeah, they're cool, right? They had that song, We Are Family. That was good. So Willie Stargell, Roberto Clemente, right? And he died in a plane crash, I think, right? Roberto Clemente. I remember him like being the catcher, and he was the guy, he would swing at anything. Like the pitch would be in the dirt and he's swinging at it. Yeah, I always thought they were just like a cool team, like a lot of character to them, and they won too. So yeah, they were good. I think it was, well, I'm from Toronto. I was a Blue Jays fan a little bit, but Yankees, trying to think of who would like. No, I'd have to stick with the Yankees now. How about was it the Met pitcher that was pitching in that World Baseball Classic, and he like the reliever, and he hurt himself like celebrating? Ooh, that's not good. The Candyman. Who's the Candyman on that team? I can't remember. The Candyman. Who was that? What else? I'm trying to think of other teams. I'm not a basketball guy. I was a basketball fan, like back when Larry Bird played, and Michael Jordan and all those guys. So I was a Bird fan. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on Larry Bird. I did not realize he was he was a really pretty nasty out there with the stuff he said to other people. So I didn't realize that. And they showed some old clips, and they interviewed some people, and they said he was just vicious, like the stuff he said to people. So like we were playing mind games with him. I liked him as a player, but I didn't really listen to other players talk about him now. Like he was, I think, kind of underrated in my mind, if that's possible. But John Candelaria. Okay. Well, I remember him. I do like NASCAR. I don't follow it that much. But if it's on, I get more of a kick out of watching it than I do like the open wheel racers. But again, NASCAR is, what was the movie? The Tom Cruise movie? It's like Rubbin is Racing. what they call it. Oh, yeah, I like that. I'm trying to think of a sport, another sport. So football, a big sport. Obviously hockey. I'm trying to think of what else. Women's volleyball. Shorts. What is it with the shorts they wear in the women's volleyball out in the beach volleyball? Oh my God. It's X-rated. And then all the women are spanking each other on the red. There's a couple of the Olympics, like a couple of Olympics ago. And this US team, these two women, man, when they were playing, it's like every time they're smacking each other. I think we were kind of sitting around one time and we would jump up every time when they played, we smack each other on the ass because they were doing it all the time. It's pretty funny. WWE wrestling, yes, that's true. Ira, I'm not even putting it on the screen, Ira. I'm not doing it. Are you a fan of Jello and whipped cream wrestling? What is wrong with you? There's something really wrong with you, Ira. I'm not doing it because these women are very attractive, but there's tons of reels out there now, women working out in the gym, and they're really like great motivational videos. Yes, they're attractive women, but something about watching a woman like really like it's fit, like and really doing, like heavy weights and everything like that. And again, it's not the physical part that's attractive. It's the fact that they work so hard to get like that. So roller derby, I used to watch roller derby when I was a kid. Yeah. So what was it? You had the guys that was the lead skaters. They had to get out ahead and lap the rest of the skaters, and then they had to get behind them. And then if they got ahead of the pack, then they got a point or something. Was that the way it was? What was it called? Like they had names for the people that got out front too. That was classic. That was good stuff. I saw a show on that too, a documentary where those are like, I mean, obviously that was not their full-time job. They wouldn't make enough money. So they did other stuff like accountants and everything. And then the weekend they go do the roller derby stuff. It was pretty funny. Very funny. All right. So again, we're in Oyster Bay. Everybody can go except for Ira. I'll make sure I'll have security at the door. Keep Ira out. I'll picture of him there. What else we got going on here? All right. So again, we had on Ian. It's terrible. I'll get his last name again. But from XP, they're a sponsor with our full change podcast. Great guy. Really impressive. Like he started this company himself, where they go into arenas. They've got one in Philly coming up, and they have an experience for fans. They get like anywhere from 35 to 40 fans, and they either before or after the game they'll be able to skate on the NHL arena ice. They then have like a party. Some guy, he called it something different, basically a party, and usually it's before the game. Then they'll stay and watch the game. So it's an experience, and it's not cheap, but it's a real experience for people there that typically wouldn't have access. And I told him a story where it was a great lesson for me, where I was always told by business people, when we're calling people, Tom, make sure you announce that you played for the New York Rangers. People want to know that. And when you grow up like the farm boy Canadian hockey player, you're taught you don't do that. It's kind of like embarrassing to announce yourself as a guy that played in the NHL or whatever. So, so they convinced me to do it. I called one day to this gentleman who's become a good friend of mine now, and he managed a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. And I called him up and I got a secretary. He said, "This is Tom Laidlaw, and that's from the New York Rangers." And she's funny. She dropped the phone, ran and got him. He didn't believe it was me at first. Once we got talking, he invited me down to his office the next day, and his office was like a hockey hall of fame. So I learned a good lesson that I talked to him about it. He says, "Yes, Tom, we want to meet guys that play. We're big fans. We want to meet guys like that." And it's really helped the business too, where, so again, I got this other company, Post Game Strategy, where we put deals together. We use the network of former athletes to put deals together, find money for all kinds of different deals. And I'm not as passionate about that business. You do run into some sketchy people in that business, that line of work, but again, it can be very lucrative. So that works. Let me see what we got here. With the upcoming 3 ice season coming up, you should have former ski ranger be. Oh, is he involved in that? I didn't know. Is that the one that Craig Patrick had involved too? Yeah, that was a cool concept. I wonder how that went last year. I never talked to Craig since then about that. I thought they had they had TV lined up and everything. So, oh yes, it was. Okay, thank you, Barry. So, and Steve Baker's now involved. Okay, I didn't know he was involved in that. Very cool, Steve Baker. So he's a good guy too. So I've told this many times. Steve started the league. I didn't know that. Okay. When we, with the Rangers particularly, the fathers the parents would come in, and we would bring the fathers into the locker room at practice time at Rye Playland. And we would always introduce, like my father's name was Don. So this is Don Laidlaw, go around, meet everybody. And then when he'd come back again, hey, Don, and Steve Baker's father was a doctor. And rightfully so, he introduced him as Dr. Baker. But of course, in our adolescent minds, we made fun of that And so we called every time somebody came in the locker room after that, we called them by their job description. So I think it was Mike Rogers' father was a cardboard coffin maker. So we introduced Mr. Rogers as cardboard coffin maker Rogers. So, and my father was the chief in the fire department, so we called him chief. To the day he died, I called him chief. That just it stuck. So then again, Steve Baker didn't do it wrong. He did the right thing. His father was a doctor. He introduced him as Dr. Baker. But it's just, again, our adolescent minds, that's the way they work. So, well, guys, again, I head to Oyster Bay. If you guys get more questions, I'll have time to stay on, but if not, we'll wrap it up. And again, I'm going to do a better job of making sure that this is a regular thing at 2:00 on Thursday. That's my fault. Again, Full Chains podcast is going well. We were ranked of all the hockey podcasts in the United States, and I can't remember how many there were. We're ranked, I think, like in the 30s or something. So I think that's going well. And please, if you could for us, if you're watching on Apple, probably that's the best place for us to have you guys watch it, and then leave some remarks. I guess that helps with the rankings and everything. So if you would do that for us, that'd be fantastic. Again, I'm really happy with what we've done. I really, probably more happy than I thought, better than I thought it was going to be, because the stories of these players are very compelling. How they got to the National Hockey League. They start right away, like 6 or 7 years old, and guys like Kelly Rudy didn't start till like he was 10, 11, 12. Talking about all things, and even like Kelly Rudy is famous for that little blue thing on his head. So he explained why he had that. So, yes, thanks, Deb. I like getting feedback like that. Yeah, it's gone well. Again, there's Tom Smith that is the producer. He likes giving me a hard time because I didn't realize how many times I repeat stories. So he likes to point it out. He's good. He's very creative, though. Great at getting the guests, because it's kind of a pain sometimes. You're hunting these guys down to try to get them on the show. We try to make it so that if people have something that's they help promote, like Richie Pilon. He's gone through a lot in his life, and now he's doing a lot of things with using horses to help heal kids. So we talk about that a lot. Hopefully, they're on the show. It helps them as well promote things. So, should have a show together. Oh yeah. Yeah, we get going pretty good. He is pretty funny. He's got a good sense of humor too. He's got a beautiful family. He's got 2 daughters and a young son and a wife. And the 2 girls, one in particular, she edits all the shows, so she hears me talking all the time. So she imitates me. She does like we got a good show here. What's that? She's pretty funny. Yeah, she posts stuff on it's good stuff on TikTok too, kind of making fun of me. So she took my dance video and kind of doctored it up a little bit. So good stuff. So, all right, guys, everybody have a great weekend. Again, Oyster Bay tonight. We won't start till 7:45. It's one of those kids clinics. So basically, a couple of teams will get together and go on the ice and hang out and have some fun. And everybody, again, have a great weekend. Have some fun, and we'll see everybody next week.